For third year literature students, today I'll be taking Shroud or Kafan by Munshi Premchand. Originally, the short story was written in Hindi and then translated by Francis W. Pritchard in English. Kafan or Shroud is Munshi Premchand's last short story and unarguably one of his best. The story is a satire on the degradation of human beings and talks about a father and son who need money to cremate the son's wife after her premature death during childbirth. It is a story about a low caste father and his son who works as laborers in a village in Odisha. The son's wife, Budhia is near the end of her pregnancy and is in need of medical attention which the family certainly cannot afford. The poor lady writhes in pain as Ghisu and his son Madhav watch helplessly. Budhia eventually dies during the childbirth, adding to the problems of the father and son. Driven to extreme poverty and despair, they have no money or means to perform the funeral rites for the unfortunate women. They cannot ignore the dead body lying in their hut and set out to ask the villagers for some monetary assistance. The question is, will the villagers reach out to help the unfortunate low caste family? Kafan, which translates to a shroud in English, describes the degradation of human beings to the lowest level possible. It not only talks about privation of the lower caste in the society but also delves into the depravity of the human soul across all caste, creeds, or religions. About Munshi Premchand, I'm going to tell you, he was a famous modern literature writer, Hindi literature writer, novelist, short story writer, and dramatist. His other famous works include Godan, Pratigya, Karmabhumi, Kayakalp, Nirmala, Seva Sadan, Rangbhumi, Manorama, and Vardhan. Premchand's novels and short stories are based on social realism and feature the problems of the poor and urban middle class. He used literature as a tool for arousing public awareness about social and national issues and widely wrote about topics such as child widowhood, corruption, poverty, feudal system, and the Indian freedom movement. He was born in 1880 in Lamai near Varanasi. At the age of 7, he began attending a madrasa in Lalpur where he learnt Urdu and Persian. He lost his mother at the age of 8 and his grandmother soon after. His father remarried and the stepmother theme featured repeatedly in many of Premchand's works. Premchand learned English at a missionary school and later joined as a day scholar at Queen's College in Banaras. He got married at the age of 15 while still studying in the ninth grade. Premchand, whose real name was Dhanpat Rai Srivastava, began writing under the pseudonym Nawab Rai and later changed it to Premchand, with the honorary prefix Munshi being added later. He died in 1936 after a prolonged illness. Now I'll read out a certain paragraphs and then explain you the theme and the how he has satired over society and also over these two individuals, the fathers and the son. At the door of the hut, father and son sat silently by a burnt out fire. Inside, the son's young wife Budhiya lay in labor, writhing with pain. Writhing the movement like a snake. She was having labor pains, and so she was, moving restlessly with pain. And from time to time, such a heart-rending scream emerged from her lips that they both pressed their hands to their hearts. She was having such a, miserable pain, such severe pain that, a scream came from her lips, and the scream was that it was just like rending or tearing your heart apart. And the both the father and the son, they were sitting outside the room, and they were listening to the screams and yelling of the wife of the lady. It was a winter night. Everything was drowned in desolation. Desolation, isolation, because he is describing the village countryside where the people go to bed early, and the everything gets drowned in isolation. The whole village had been absorbed into the dark. There was complete darkness all over the village. All had gone to sleep. Ghisu said, "It seems she won't live. She has been writhing in pain the whole day. Go on, see how she is." So the father Ghisu says that the way she is screaming, it appears that she will not live anymore. So go inside and see how she is. Ghisu says to his son, Madhav. Madhav said in a pained tone, "If she is going to die, then why doesn't she go ahead and die? What is the use of going to see? See the, the cruelty, the indifference, the ruthlessness of the husband whose wife is going to die, and he is, the author is describing you the condition of women at that time, where the women, they were not considered as as an important part of humanity. He says, if she is going to die, let her die. She should hurry up with these things. And then again says, what is the point of going to see her? You are pretty hard hearted. You have enjoyed life with her for a whole year. Such faithlessness to her. Then father says to the son that you are being hard hearted, you are being cruel. You have enjoyed a whole year with her, and now you are showing so much faithlessness towards her. You are not concerned about her, you are not faithful about her. Then the son replies, well, I can't stand to see her writhing and thrashing around. So he tells you the reason. He tells the readers the reason for not going to go inside. But later on you will find that it was more of a pretension, where you see the ruthlessness and cruelty of the husband, who is not much bothered about the wife. So long she was healthy, it meant okay with him. But the moment she is she is going to deliver the baby, where he cannot manage medicine for the lady, he is he withdraws from the entire responsibility. And the reason he gives is that he cannot see her moving with pain, troubling herself with pain. And now as you notice, the story has been told in the third person. And now Premchand tells you about he gives you a description of Madhav and Ghisu, and what who they are and what they have been doing in the village. It was a family of chamars and notorious in the whole village. Now he tells you, Premchand tells you about this family of Ghisu and Madha, and he says that they were notorious. They were, they had carried a bad name in the entire village. If Ghisu worked for one day, then he rested for three. Madhav was such a slacker that if he worked for an hour, then he smoked his chilam for an hour. So now you come to know about the irresponsibility of both the father and the son. If he worked for one day, then he won't work for next 3 days. And Madhav, if he worked for one day for just an hour, then he will smoke his chilam for another 1 hour. Thus nobody hired them on, and naturally because they were laborers, so nobody wants such laborers who work for an hour and then rest for another hour. So nobody likes such laborers, and therefore most of the time they were without job and they had no money. If there was even a handful of grain in the house, they both swore off working. So see the irresponsibility of these two men. Even if they had just a handful of grain to eat, then they will not go for work. Then they will just take rest, smoke, and then spend their entire day in idleness. When they had fasted for a couple of days, then Ghisu climbed trees and broke off branches, and Madhav sold the wood in the market. Though they were laborers, but as I told you, they were very, idle. They didn't want to do anything, so nobody gave them work to do. And so when they had fasted for a couple of days, when they had nothing to eat, what did they do? The father would climb up the trees, broke off the branches in order to sell the wood, and Madhav would sell the wood in the market. And as long as the money lasted, they both spent their time wandering idly around. When their hunger grew intense, they again broke off the branches or looked for some work. So they were so lazy, they were so irresponsible to the extent that there were days when they had nothing to eat, and when their hunger grew deeper and intense, then only they would try to find out some work. But then there was no shortage of work in the village. It was a village of farmers. For a hard-working man, there were 50 jobs. So in the village, there was no shortage or dearth of jobs. The only thing is that they did not want to do work, and they carried an image of laziness, and so nobody hired them. But people only sent for those two who then were forced to content themselves with getting out of two men the work of one. And so whenever people hired them, they hired both of them and paid the salary of just one, because both of them together did the work for just one person. So in the next I have given you the background of the story, and how now in the next lecture I'll be talking about the theme, the satire, and the theme of tradition and honor and other things which he has brought out, which Premchand has brought out in the story. Because as I told you, his poems, his stories and novels, they reflect social reality of that time, and how the behavior of male, the difference between genders, that I'll be going to discuss in the next lecture. Thank you.